Welcome to Sylvan Librarians. My name's Ken,
My name is Avery.
and we are going to go over our top 10 picks for Commander cards in War of the Spark, which is probably my new favorite set. And I know every show talks about that, every set. I remember laughing my ass off when people said Born of the Gods. Oh my god, what a set for Commander.
I mean, it did have some nice picks, but
It had both nice picks
Yes,
in
it
it,
had
out
both
of
nice
like
picks.
180.
yes, yeah, but the diversity of the cards in War of the Spark reminds me of something like Future Sight, where you have all of these weird convergences of lots and lots of things happening on like one card, because we have Affinity again
In Standard.
in Standard,
What goddamn year is it?
which is not what we're talking about.
No, we're not talking about Standard. Standard is for tryhards.
And me, I'm a tryhard.
And you sure are a tryhard. We got representation here. But
Yes.
first, let's go over some honorable mentions. Would you like to go first?
Yes. So first on my honorable mentions was Nimizet Reborn. He is intense. I like him a lot, not necessarily even as a commander on his own. He works great in both Ur-Dragon and Scion of the Ur-Dragon, because all of your, you have a lot of dragons, and suddenly here you go. Here's drawing, 5 cards. They're all dragons. And
Yeah.
also he is still a 6/6 flying for 5.
I really like him. I've heard a lot of competitive players say that you can replace General Tazri in your food chain combo kind of
Okay.
deck
That makes
with
sense.
this. So people are arguing that that's probably the better one because General Tazri doesn't actually play allies. Why would you do that and have fun?
Yes.
That's big air quotes, listeners. So he draws you at least, if you're running about 20 multicolor cards, 22 color cards.
Which, if you're running dragons,
You're gonna
hopefully
you're
you
gonna
are.
draw. My friend did the math for this because he's a smart person.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna draw on average 2.4 cards, and that is
What is 0.4 of a card?
scrying one.
Oh,
That is 0.4 cards.
Okay.
That is pretty fantastic. I'd like to move on to my honorable mention. That's God Eternal Kefnet. It's fantastic. I love the God Cycle. I was tempted to cheat and put them all right here
yes. I'm glad
in
you
the
did,
honorable
because
mentions.
I think, yes.
But one we'll get to later. I think that god's a lot of fun. But anyway, God Eternal Kefnet. You have a solid flying blocking body. It does real well. It always comes back. There's very few ways to get rid of it unless you turn it into an indestructible bug or a tree.
Right.
It's just going to keep happening.
Right.
And the ability to make your stuff a little bit cheaper and then do it twice is a lot of fun. The only reason it's on honorable mentions and not in my top 10 anywhere is because revealed information. You're in a group format. If you draw, let's say, a Cyclonic Rift, you're all of a sudden that guy with the Cyclonic Rift, and let's kill them while they
Yes.
have not untapped 7 mana. So I just really like Kefnet. I think it's a lot of fun.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
So second on my honorable mentions list was actually Dreadhorde Invasion. I know it's not as good as Bitter Blossom, and I know Bitter Blossom doesn't see a whole lot of commander play.
Doesn't
But-
have to be though.
I know. It's so you've got a consistently growing creature that is spawning for the cost of 1 life, and when you're starting at 40, it's not really a whole lot to lose.
It's just a resource, yeah.
Right. Plus, you've got lifelink on anything with power 6 or greater,
Yeah.
which includes your other zombie tokens. And if you're playing something like Grimgrin,
Oh,
or you're
Grim.
making other tokens, it's not too hard to get 6+. On top of that, even if you don't, you're still just generating more, a bigger and bigger body as you go along.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. As an early play, it seems great. Later on, it's very defensive. It's definitely a chump blocker, but in a deck that just like sacrificing things all the time, just always having a sack trigger, like Marin loves that card. You kidding me? That's great. It's a one-off every time. Marin plays endless cockroaches just to have something to sacrifice all the time.
That is fair.
And that's all I have to say about that. I think that's a fine pick. I picked for my second honorable mention Ugin the Ineffable because he gives 0 Fs. He makes your color spells cost 2 less. So free signets is my jam. That's my jam and my jelly.
Yeah.
And he also kind of manifests. I don't know why they didn't want to put the word manifest on there with that when we have another card that just says affinity.
Affinity for artifacts.
Yeah.
No explanation.
So, but I understand that they kind of fixed it, air quotes, so that way you didn't have like, oh, I manifested this land. I really wish I could play that land instead. Well, now
Right.
just attack recklessly with your 2/2.
Yes.
And then you'll get your land back in your hand. You'll be able to play it.
So I think it's actually a little bit better than Manifest because of that.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to get that card. So calling
Exactly.
it Manifest isn't entirely accurate. Because like even when that 2/2 dies, it'll go back to your hand.
Right.
So but I get where you're coming from.
And also for mono red decks and mono black decks, he replaces Scour from Existence in all of those. He's 1 mana less than Scour from Existence, and he's a repeatable exile of a permanent. He's your solving for enchantment problems, and those colors notoriously are terrible at solving enchantment problems.
Yeah, no.
So those he just goes in all of those. All right, what do you got?
So my last pick for honorable mentions is almost entirely a flavor pick, but just because I've never seen a card quite this over the top, that I had to put it somewhere on the list. So my last pick is Parhelion 2.
Oh, god damn it.
Because just everything about this card is what I want something to be. It is kind of expensive for a white card. It is also a legendary, but I love the whole vehicle concept. I think it's really, really cool, and even though the crew cost is 4, it also has flying, first strike, and vigilance, and it makes 2 angels whenever it attacks. In any white deck, whether you're running, if you're running Kemba cat tokens, or you're running Elesh Norn because you're like me and you're a crazy person, getting to crew 4, not actually that hard. That's 2 tokens. I had this idea in my head of realizing that 2 wolf tokens could pilot this giant flying mech, and from a flavor perspective, that was just
just pulling all the switches on this giant flying brick.
Yes.
It's Howl's Flying Anvil.
Yes.
It is not the best card. It is 8 mana.
Yes, I know.
At 8 mana, I'll play Zatalpa and just enjoy that.
But if you're running something like Karametra, that's like in
it's
white.
It's doable.
Right, and it's like green didn't get a vehicle, which makes total sense out of this legendary artifact cycle. And that would be kind of weird. I would still like it, but I understand. But I think Parhelion fits well in white decks and fits in that white and green space where you're already ramping into so much that the mana cost is kind of negligible.
Yeah.
Plus, because it's a vehicle, it's a lot harder to kill.
It is. You have to pick your moments, and that's if you're going to kill it. But there's a lot of artifact removal out there just because you need to be able to answer like paradox engines and things of the like.
Mm-hmm.
My last honorable mention is Deliver Unto Evil.
Interesting.
We banned Gifts Ungiven for a reason, and I can shit a lot of cards into my graveyard if I really put my mind and heart into it. So it's not much of a downside that there's only pulls from the yard. I'm completely ignoring the if you control a Bolas Planeswalker
I was going to ask
sentence.
about that because, like, do you run this in Bolas or do you just run this because?
Oh, if you have a Bolas deck, you play this.
Yeah, of course.
If you have one where he's the commander, or if he's just prominent in your deck and you know you want to play him,
it's Nicol Bolas. He's
jam
pretty
it in
prominent
there.
everywhere he goes.
But to every other deck, black decks will just love this. It's a fantastic regrowth, and it gives them all bad choices if you're playing a good enough deck.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
All right, cool. Now on to the actual list.
On to the list. We've dicked around long enough.
Yes. So I'm going to start with my number 10 is D-Spark, which is I have a personal stake in this card.
Uh-huh.
I come at Commander predominantly from I play white and black decks, so seeing white-black removal is always nice. I know spot removal in Commander isn't always the best thing to run, but I think for 2 mana, being able to target enchantments, which white can do, but you don't necessarily want to run specific enchantment removal. You can deal with artifacts, most planeswalkers, just about every important creature that you think you need to deal with. I think the versatility of D-Spark, on a 2 mana instant and the exile, shuts down a lot of things.
I'm down. I think it's you play it alongside Utter End and
yes.
Anguish Unmaking, also known as Father, Why Does It Hurt?
Oh.
Anguish Unmaking, and you played along Vindicate.
Right.
It just goes into that package. Black-White's already the best at removing every problem, and this I was really surprised to see that it's an instant. From a story perspective, I'm really sad that the killing of Nicol Bolas is on an uncommon.
Well, that killing thing isn't entirely. Anyway, that's a different podcast.
Yeah, that's for another show. My number 10 is Teferi Time Raveler.
Oh, so you're starting off with the big guns already.
I'm coming out swinging.
All right.
So Teferi, each opponent can't cast spells. Can cast spells only anytime they could cast a sorcery.
So he's Teferi.
So for budget decks and for starting players.
Mm-hmm.
he's so good, and he's gonna be affordable. Right now, he's an amount of monies, but he's gonna drop down eventually. He's gonna be super affordable mana cost wise, and for early decks, you get to slow down those turbo kind of meta, more spiky players out there.
He also comes in at 4, and to be honest, I've played him in Arena a few times. The -3 actually isn't bad.
No.
Bouncing most of your, really any problem that you might have to deal with and drawing a card while still keeping him alive actually works out pretty well.
Yeah, and the plus is also fantastic. He is, if you're a spells-based deck, like so let's say you're a Jeskai Spells Slinger, then you could really have a great time kind of going off with that. Maybe not Narset, but Narset Super Friends would definitely play this guy. So I think he's a lot of fun.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on to the number 9 slot. I think we actually have the same card for the slot, so we can talk about it together.
Oh boy.
Yes. So God Eternal Oketra.
God Eternal Oketra.
So she's.
Are we trying to talk at the same time?
No, we don't need to talk
God
at the
damn
same
it.
time. I mean, if you really want to, we can
No,
try,
no, that
but
won't
we're
work
saying
at all.
different things here. So she's actually the only God Eternal on my list, but I think she's the best, with the caveat that by herself, she's not as good as some others. Like Bantu, I think is better if you're only playing that card. But I think for a 5 mana 3/6 with double strike, and then every time you cast a creature spell, you get a 4/4 zombie
For free. It's not just pay 2 and then you also get a zombie.
Right. It's like that kind of token generation for nothing. And then also she has the God Clause where she will come back if if she dies, she gets exiled, whatever. White decks tend to deal a lot with tokens. White green, white black green. If you're playing Gave. Hey, you can cast whatever you want, and you will get tokens.
Yes.
So,
I'm absolutely on board the Oketra train. This big cat lady's fantastic.
Yes.
She is arguably a better Sigil of the Empty Throne. The only problem is that the tokens don't have evasion; they just have vigilance. So you're not shitting out angels, but also Sigil is a hate target. This is going to be a hate target, but it's going to be a lot harder to get rid of. Again, it's got the God caveat of either turn me into a tree or turn me into a metal bug, or I'm going to keep doing stuff.
Right.
And I'm going to come back and haunt you.
Also, just worth mentioning, she's also a zombie.
She's also a zombie.
All of the gods, the new gods are, but...
She's a white zombie.
Yes, she is a white zombie, and she plays well with, decks that might also care about white zombies.
5-color Niv Mizzet zombies confirmed, coming to a video near you. Our number 8 pick, my number 8 pick, is actually 2 cards, because I couldn't pick one.
So what were the 2 cards you were deciding between?
The 2 cards I cheated on, like a bitch, were Evolution Sage and Flux Channeler.
Interesting.
The reason I put them, because they kind of do the same thing, and they're both at uncommon, which is a little surprising. Being able to
a lot of good uncommons.
Proliferate at landfall, or proliferate when you cast a non-creature spell, is surprisingly good. I couldn't decide which one was better. In my opinion, I run a lands deck.
It's Evolution Sage. Evolution Sage is the better one.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
No, is it?
Yes.
Is it would play Flux Channeler?
Yes, I know.
And they would probably go off on that.
Yeah, I know. I got it. But I still think... Anyway, I'm going to talk about that later.
That's fine.
That's also on my list.
We'll get there. We'll get there. All right. What's your number 7? Or your number 8, sorry.
Yes, number 8. So my number 8 was actually Finale of Revelation. Because I love this card. It's X and 2 blue. It's draw X cards, and then if X is 10 or greater, then you get to do stupid stuff. So you shuffle your graveyard into your hand, you draw X cards, untap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size until the end of the game.
I like untapping Gaia's Cradle.
Yes. Well, yeah. So the caveat here is that you've drawn 12 cards. You have everything that you possibly need.
You're not always drawing 12 cards.
But you can always draw 12 cards. I mean, yes, this also could be a slightly, this could be a pay 4 mana, draw 2 cards if you really want to. But, yes, you're smirking at me. Do you have thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay.
I have a lot of thoughts on this deck. You unfortunately get rid of it. You can't just Blue Sun over and over again.
This is true.
It doesn't kill players, which is a heartbreaker for me.
But I don't think it's not the point.
Why aren't I just playing Time Spiral?
Because you can play Time Spiral after this.
You can play, with your many untapped lands.
Right. So that's the thing. So aside from having a no max hand size for the rest of the game, I like that, especially on sorcery. That's always nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd run this in the same deck that uses Praetor's Council, but I mean, I suppose you could.
Oh, I'd put it in a blue-green deck immediately.
But yes, no, in any blue-green deck, yes. I don't necessarily know if I'd want to run both, just because.
Because you're gonna need to get to 12 fucking mana.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
but it's blue-green. You'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. You'll
You
get
run-
there in blue-green. Are
if
you
you
gonna
run
get there in
Crewfix-
blue-red?
Yeah, no.
You're gonna rely on a lot of artifacts to get there in blue-red.
But you still can.
You could.
Anyway, so my point is that's my number 8 pick. I like it. It's probably a questionable pick for the finale cycle, but I gave it some thought and I decided that was actually the one I wanted to go with.
That's fantastic. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, it's number 7 time. So I'm gonna go for my number 7 here. Spark Double.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Yep.
They made a clone that copies the Planeswalker. I'm waiting for them to say enters the copies of target creature or Planeswalker. But they
It's also
I'm
that
waiting for
plus
them to say
better.
that for years. It's also better. It's also better than that version ever because you either get a counter in the form of a +1/+1, or you get another loyalty counter.
Right.
Which is neat. It's fun fact, not a loyalty from where it is then. It enters as a copy of the starting card.
Right.
So you can't have enough to ult one, play a Spark Double, and then get 2 ultimates. You don't get 2 Teferi emblems out of this.
Right, but the upside is because a lot of these new walkers come in at such high numbers, you may be able to ultimate off of something just from the get-go.
The moral of the story is we now have a really cheap alternative to Sakashima, and Sakashima has been inching up to $30 fucking dollars. He's a lot of money now, an unreasonable amount. So that's why I really like Spark Double.
So my next pick is an uncommon as well. This is in relation to you picking.
Spark Double's rare as shit.
Yes, I know, but
Okay.
you're talking about from evolution stage.
Okay.
So Saheeli Sublime Artificer. I think honestly, at uncommon, for the value that she is easily one of the best planeswalkers in a set that has 36 planeswalkers.
Yeah.
She is absurdly good and fits in so many decks that run, red and blue. Like, you're going to be creating so many tokens for doing nothing. And her -2 ability lets you, copy.
Panharmonicon. You copy Panharmonicon.
Yes.
So Saheeli seems super sweet.
Yes.
You can copy a lot of things. Mana Rocks at the worst.
Right.
At your worst case scenario, you're copying Mana Rocks. At your best case scenario, Paradox Engine, so you can untap some more.
Yeah.
Although Paradox Engine is legendary. Can't really do that. She seems super sweet.
Yes.
And she gives you all the blockers in the world. I thought they flew at the pre-release. I was wrong. I was very wrong.
I mean, but you're also getting things for just casting non-creature spells, which
Yeah.
you're going to be doing anyway.
Yeah, I think if you're running Young Pyromancer, you slam this in there anyway.
Definitely.
Just to have another one.
Yeah.
So my number 6 is a rare. It's so
Okay.
rare, it's mythic. It's so mythic, you can't get it in packs. It's Tezzeret. I put Tezzeret on my list.
Of course you did.
He's so neat.
All right.
He's so
we
fun.
need to talk about Tezzeret
Oh,
because Tezzeret is a thing.
He gives your creatures and planeswalkers affinity. That's like an 18 on the storm scale.
I also like that it doesn't explain what affinity is because
It
there's
doesn't.
there's just no room to smash
Well,
the text on.
he's not from here, so why would Ravnikins know what that is?
Yeah, but players should still know.
No, fuck you. Look it up.
Okay.
Anyway.
But if
here's-
you're playing Affinity in Commander, I still feel like you've done something terribly, terribly wrong.
Yeah, it's called Brea decks. They're all wrong. I used to be one. So the plus is easily Kokosho. Having 5 artifacts is not hard.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're draining everyone for 5. You don't gain as much as Kokosho, but that's why he was on the ban list
Right.
for a long ass time. And the minuses are also really versatile. The recursion's great. It does everything you want to do in Commander. So I would absolutely run him in any blue-black deck because most of those run a lot of artifacts anyway. Because I think all you really need to make him worthwhile is in the teens of artifacts, and that's doable.
Yeah.
All right, what you got?
So my next one was actually also a Spark Double. So
So for all the same reasons, Spark Double's amazing.
for all the same reasons, Spark Double is amazing. Yes.
Yeah, high five on Spark Double, but don't actually. We're recording. So
Yes.
anything else you want to add on Spark Double?
No.
Do
Spark
you
Double
hate
is
that
great.
both arts on the card is Jace?
I do, but I'm willing to live with it because
the
it is.
merriest of Sues.
I know, but it's such a good card. I can live with it.
Yeah. All right. My next one up, we made this list based on how good they are for the Commander format. There aren't a lot of legendary creatures on this unless they're good on their own. I cheated again.
Nice.
Because my number 5 pick is Feather. Here's why.
Okay.
It's not only a great deck, it can be an amazing deck, and everyone and their mother is building a Feather deck.
they should be.
What Feather has done, it has made Boros playable.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that because I've always thought Boros is playable.
Boros doesn't have reliable card draw or card advantage.
Okay.
It doesn't have a lot of it. It doesn't have a lot of really reliable answers. Its enchantment removal is entirely relying on white, and enchantments are really popular. Artifacts, it can get rid of day and night. It's phenomenal at that. But it doesn't have a great way of recovering. I've played a lot of red-white decks, whether it's Angels or Aroas turn sideways and win, or an Infect deck, because I'm a bad person.
Yes.
And they late game, you get Wrathed twice, and all of a sudden you're in top deck mode.
Okay.
Because you overcommit on the board.
All right.
So this lets you have such recursion and a lot of flexibility in what you're doing. And there are actually a couple different ways to build around it. So I think what this does for the Commander format is that it makes red-white a much more competitive color.
But I think the problem is you run into, like, you get kind of sidelined by heroic decks. Because you have to build them as things that target, your own stuff.
Yeah.
So you're going to be running only positive instants and sorceries for your own creatures.
Oh no, I will path my own guys just to get a rampant growth out of them.
Okay, that's
I will
fair.
path to exile my own tokens.
Okay, that is fair.
Because with Young Pyromancer out there, I cast it, target the token.
All right.
And then all of a sudden, I get a free land out of it.
Yeah, okay.
So that's ramp. That's better than land tax.
All right.
All right, so there's my 5.
So my next pick was one we've already talked about before, since Ken cheated and made this a part of 2.
I did.
But I want to talk about Evolution Sage a little more, just because it is extremely versatile.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to run Atraxa to want to run Evolution Sage. It's good in anything that runs green, quite frankly.
That was me knocking over my box of rares in a fit of rage over someone picking a card higher than me. Anyway, continue.
Oh no, that was really it. It's I don't know. I love cards that, when you play Evolution Sage, it doesn't do anything. It kind of just sits there by itself.
You played before the land drop.
Well, yes.
You don't play it on land turn 3 Evolution Stage go.
Right, I got that.
Then he earns a secret flavor text. It says dies. He dies.
Yes, well.
Okay, so my next one is phenomenal in competitive Commander, but also really great for budget players for the same reason, punishing those more greedy players running a lot of tutors. Ashiok Dream Render.
Nice. All right.
They are fantastic.
Yes.
Spells and abilities your opponents control can't let them tutor, which is hilarious.
Yes.
It's really good. That also shuts off fetch lands.
Yes.
So
you're really just hosing the blue players.
You're
honestly.
hosing the blue players, you're hosing the black players, you're hosing the green players, the lands deck that's going to run that Evolution Sage.
No, that's fair.
Oh, yeah. And then the minus removes graveyard problems. It hates on 2 different deck archetypes really goddamn well.
Yeah.
I love Ashiok. I hope that they come back in future story points. I was really hoping that they would just sit this one out story-wise, but who knows?
Functionally speaking, yes, they did sit this one out.
Yes, they're literally in the timeout corner.
Yes,
their art is
once.
in the timeout corner.
Yes.
All right. What you got?
All right, so my next pick is Blast Zone.
Shahili's Skywing. Nope, that's not it. Blast Zone.
Blast Zone. I already said Blast Zone. So I don't know about you. I like engineered explosives. I like Ratchet Bomb. I like those things on a land.
Yes.
That's all I have to say about Blast Zone.
That's it. End of list.
Yes.
It's really good. I think it's smart that they didn't let it come in with 0 counters. Because, 1, in Limited, they don't want it to just ruin the zombie armies.
Yes.
Zombarmies.
Although someone really ought to.
And 2, it just doesn't affect token decks. Because it just destroys that loyalty. Not the loyalty, that CMC.
Yeah.
All right. My next one. We're in the top 3.
I know.
The time's flying here.
I know.
Kiora, Behemoth Beckoner. Oh,
really? Okay.
my girl.
All right.
She has been just okay every time she's been printed. But here we are with the best Kiora at Uncommon.
At Uncommon. That's why I'm surprised.
Okay. So I play a lot of green stompy decks, and I enjoy drawing cards off of those. Green.
So that's it, really?
Green blue's also a jam. This will probably go in my Sultai deck.
Okay.
Just because the card draw, but also the untapped target permanent is the real hero of the day here, because you can untap Nykthos. You can untap Gilded Lotus. You can untap things that actually do stuff other than tapping mana, but I can't think of one right now because I'm not professional.
That's okay.
So yeah, draws you cards, untaps your nonsense. I feel good about this.
Also comes in at 7, so she sticks around quite a bit.
7?
Yeah, for 3 mana.
You know what you play with that card? Flux Channeler.
Or Evolution Sage.
Get fucked. All right. What's next?
Okay, all right. So now we're at the big guns here.
Yep.
So I'm going to mention it because someone really needs to.
Uh-huh.
Nicobolas Dragon God.
Nicky Daddy.
Yes.
Oh.
There's a lot to say about Nicobolas, and I don't have enough time to talk about
His
him.
art's throwing up gang signs.
You're right, but also... Okay, so Nicol Bolas. Static ability has all loyalty abilities of all other planeswalkers on the battlefield. Everything.
All of them.
All of them.
Every
That is
one of them.
absurd.
Yep.
The sheer amount of interactions, I don't have the time to list them because...
Do you think he does an impression of them?
I hope so.
Do you think he does?
Yeah, he's really mocking. He has like these little puppets where he's just like, "Oh, I'm Jace.
I am Kaya, and I'm gonna stab a ghost later." And then he just kind of does that with marionettes
Right, exactly.
made of bodies.
So comes in at 4, costs 5 mana. It's 5 very specific Grixis mana, but it's Nicol Bolas. Like, this is what you expect.
You're also in Commander. You have all the fixing. Forever.
Right, exactly. So it's just throw on a Chromatic Lantern and you're done.
Yeah.
But each one of his abilities on their own is good. Like, again, ignoring that he has everyone's abilities all over.
All the time.
But I love his ultimate. I honestly think his other abilities are better. But the -8, each player who doesn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker loses the game. That's the sort of thing where it makes people scared. I think Nicol Bolas will be an immediate hate target, but that he comes in at 4 loyalty and he has so much versatility on his own.
I think they under-loyaltied him for a reason, so that way he wouldn't be broken with other walkers.
Right.
Because if you put him at 6, all of a sudden he can just have the green Nissa from Kaladesh ultimate. Wherever you play a land, you draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
He can just do that right away and die.
Right.
And you get an emblem. That's gross.
Yes.
I think that's really important why they did that. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have about 6 months now of there's going to be a lot of planeswalkers and a lot of decks.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll be really useful in that.
Yes.
But after that, he's going to calm down a little bit. I would take one of these, hold on to it for a while. If you're in a Grixis deck, you play him.
Use him.
Unless
Absolutely use
unless
him.
it's like a tribal focus.
Even then, it doesn't matter.
It sure
He's a
does.
planeswalker.
He ain't a wizard.
That's true. He's
And
not a
Nala
wizard.
says, I will not copy that dragon. I will not.
But, and if I can provide a nice counterpoint here, this does give you another opportunity for the creature Nicol Bolas to wield the planeswalker Nicol Bolas through Bludgeon Brawl and Liquid Metal Coating to swing Nicol Bolas.
Why are
at
you
turn
like
phase.
this?
Because I like fun, Ken. Because I like fun.
God damn you. All right. Number 2 time.
Yes.
I have picked the card that is in the most spirit. My number 1 is the most busted card in this set, in my opinion. Not close.
And you would be wrong, but please continue.
I'm going to be happy to be wrong right in your face.
Right.
My number 2, though, is just so focused on the fun of the format while also being busted.
Yes.
Bolas' Citadel. It is the best future sight that's ever been printed.
Well, there's only ever been one future sight printed otherwise.
The future sight effect. Reveal the top card of your library. Oracle of Muldrei.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Same thing.
Okay.
And cheating the mana cost with life total.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a black-white life gain deck, you have 100+ life.
That
you
is
don't
true.
you don't give 2 shits.
Right.
And then the tap to sack stuff, that's fine. That's something you can untap with Kiora.
That is true.
Sack your entire board, deal 20.
Yeah.
That sounds fine.
I'm actually kind of surprised you put Bolas' Citadel this high.
It's
a
really
good
fucking
card.
good.
Yeah, no, it's a
In
really
the right
good card.
deck, if you have a Sensei's top, you could probably go off for like 6 or 7 cards before you get landlocked.
All right, that's
Yeah.
fair. So number 2 for me, Vivian's Arcbow. Since we're doing a cycle of legendary artifacts,
Yes.
I love this card.
Welcome to the worst pod ever.
What?
Not podcast. We're actually doing pretty good.
Yes.
But the worst pod effect I've ever seen.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're running it in, there are a number of decks that don't look at the discard as a downside.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's absolutely an available thing you can access. I'm just saying that they have spent years. They made pod and they were like, this is a mistake. This is too close to survival of the fittest.
Yes, well.
So now let's make a bad version of survival of the fittest and pod at the same time that you can whiff on. And also, it's not card advantage, which breaks my heart. I really wish it was, but you're already paying the mana cost. And you're discarding a card.
Right.
So you're not really netting anything unless it's something that draws you cards.
But again, if you're running in Golgari anything really, the discard is an actual advantage.
Yes. And if you know the top of your library, that's also gravy. But I would say, again, this is something you untap with Kiora.
Yes.
I should have just looked at the cards in the set. Okay.
That's mostly anything, really. All right, so...
I'm going to move on to my final.
All right.
To my finale.
your finale. All
to
right.
finale of Devastation.
Okay.
What were they thinking Why are they? Why are they?
Why are they like this?
It's too good. So Finale of Devastation. It is the Green Sun Zenith that doesn't come back, but it does, however, get you the ability to search your graveyard, which mono green cards do not do.
That is true.
And they put it onto the field. You don't lose life or something like most black cards would make you do.
Right.
And also, by the way, if you get to that magical 12 total fucking mana,
It's green. You will.
it's green. You'll be fine. You can get there. Believe in yourself. You get to have an overrun with haste. So
There's no trample.
It's an X-Spell tooth and nail that could hit your graveyard. There's no trample there, but you just get hoof.
But it's not... okay, fine.
Get hoof.
Yes. All right. I'll give you an opportunity for that.
All
Okay.
right.
So my top is, I think, my favorite card in the set. It is a 2-mana sorcery called the Elder Spell. I love this card. I love everything about this card. I think it's absolutely terrible and the best thing. So here's the thing about the Elder Spell. You don't have to run Planeswalkers. You can just destroy everyone else's, and hey, you've killed a bunch of Planeswalkers for 2 mana.
Yeah.
I love how much versatility is put into this compact package. So if you're running any Planeswalker, say, I don't know, Nicol Dragon God, or really Davriel, honestly, whatever you want. The idea... Yes.
Don't run Davriel. Don't. He says target player. Don't run Davriel.
but my point is, so 2 black mana to destroy any and all number of Planeswalkers, and you get 2 loyalty counters on one of yours for each one destroyed this way.
Yeah.
That's absurd, especially in a multiplayer game.
For 2 mana, it's very cheaply costed.
Yes.
They do this a lot. Remember Deicide? They were like, okay, if gods get too good, we just printed 15 gods.
Yes. Well,
If they get to be too goddamn good, we need to have an out. Bam. Deicide. Solve target problem.
right. But the Elder Spells...
This is the solve.
Yes. But I also think it just... It's a removal card that doesn't require you... Like, you don't have to run your own Planeswalkers, and it's still a great card.
Yeah.
So,
oh, no. It's fantastic. It'll be great for 6 months. It'll get less good for a while.
Right.
Until we have a focus on Planeswalkers again in like 2025.
Right, but that's in standard.
Yeah.
As far as Commander is concerned, your opponents are always going to be running Planeswalkers. It's just, it makes sense.
You're right. Well, it's time for us to commence the end game. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope to see you soon. You know all the YouTube stuff, so we're not going to talk down to you like that and tell you to do all the things. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.